Welcome to this year's interview series. We're currently at the Canadian Science Policy Conference 2024. My name is Kathy. I'm a PhD candidate at the University of British Columbia. I'm going to be the interviewer today, and I'm also one of the volunteers with CSPC. With me, I have Dr. Alejandro Adem, who is the president of NSERC.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to meet you, and glad to be here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for being here for the interview. Jumping straight into it, let's talk about Budget 2024. There's been a lot of really exciting announcements this year, including increases in trainee stipends, as well as a capstone institute that will work in tandem with the tri-councils we have so far. What has this announcement impact been on NSERC? And what do you think this means for the future of research and innovation in Canada?
Well, I think it's fantastic news that the stipends for the students and postdocs were increased. It's been years and years where the stipends were stuck at an unacceptably low level. So, and I really want to thank the community for mobilizing, whether it be the students, the postdocs, the faculty, and the universities also, to make the case to the federal government that they needed to invest in people. So we're very excited about those increases. And there's also the plan to increase the number of fellowships for these young researchers. And so that's, I think, the most significant investment that I've seen in research in Canada in quite some time. There's also an investment in the regular grants, investigator-led grants. And we know that many students are paid from grants, not from stipends, from fellowships. So that will also be increased significantly. So I think it's been a great year for Canadian science. Now, the other aspect that you talked about is the modernization of the ecosystem. So we're very excited about that. We still don't have the details. We've done a consultation with the community as to what they would like to see, what their concerns are, and what aspects of the system are working well, and what aspects we would like to improve. Because in everything, you have to evolve the mechanisms that you have, and science is an especially dynamic area. You know, the way we do science now is very different from how we did science 20, 30 years ago. And in particular, a focus on what they call mission-driven research, outcomes that impact society, that impact industry, that mobilize the deep research that is being done by faculty and students throughout the country. So we're very excited about working with the community, with the rest of the government, with the other councils to develop the details of this new structure.
It sounds like all of this kind of ties into engaging every level from trainees to different councils. It's really seeking to bring science, how it's funded, how it's managed, into it seems like a new and exciting era.
That's correct. And we want to be very inclusive, make sure that equity, diversity, and inclusion permeates the whole structure, that we pay attention to universities of all sizes, colleges, polytechnics, CEGEPs, people from all over Canada, that everyone have an opportunity to participate in this kind of exciting crystallization of a new way of doing research and innovation.
That's amazing. Speaking about innovation, I want to pivot to talking about AI, which is the focus of NSERC's most recent issue of Impact, the digital publication that highlights NSERC's support for researchers, partnerships, and training programs. So we've had a lot of increases in both attention to AI as well as AI innovation. This past year, Dr. Geoffrey Hinton won the 2024 Nobel Prize in physics, and of course his research was sort of serving as the foundation of modern AI. So NSERC provided funding for his research at all stages, and I was wondering if you could talk more about how NSERC supports the entire life cycle of research, from the most fundamental basic stuff all the way to impact.
With pleasure. So science and its impact comes from ideas, new ideas that people have, and they have to have the resources, the support, and the time to develop these new ideas. In particular, in the case of AI, Professor Hinton, early on in his career, was working on the theoretical aspects of artificial neural networks, where they were a very abstract sort of construct. And he and his collaborators were receiving support from the discovery grants. Our discovery grants are really investments in people, which frees them up to work on topics that they think are interesting, that given their expertise and their trajectory, that they can take to the next level. So, and it was at that time that Professor Hinton started to have his breakthroughs. There was also important support from CFAR for his research. And if you look at the period between, say, early 90s to 2013, the investment level was not a huge amount of money. It was basic research. Basic research is not that expensive. It's really investing in people. Since 2013, there's been an explosion of investments in AI applications, and of course the ultimate goal is the adoption of AI in industry and across society. And in particular in the sciences, it's very exciting because AI is also driving progress in the other sciences and engineering. For example, the self-driving labs are an example, and there's one very nice example at the University of Toronto where AI is being used in the development of new materials, and material design, or pharmaceuticals, things of that kind, because it really accelerates the process. And we should see that across all the scientific areas. And likewise, it is the expectation that AI can help us with these tough societal problems, climate change, more generally the Sustainable Development Goals from the UN. So it is an exciting era. So there we see the piece from the fundamental, the basic research, to its mobilization across society. You have companies coming in, government, and society being impacted. And that's kind of the power of science and how a great idea can really unleash prosperity and progress for society. And of course, I should mention here in the case of AI, there are also risks which have to be addressed to make sure that the ethical use is built into these future endeavors.
You've predicted my next question exactly. You've mentioned some great examples of how AI can change the way we do science and the way we live as a whole. But what do you think NSERC's role is in ensuring that access and use of AI is equitable and safe for people in society?
Well, to begin with, we want to make sure that people understand what are the permissible uses of AI in developing their research programs or research grants, right? And also in how these are adjudicated. So we have very recently, I believe it was this month, released together with the other councils, the guidelines for the use of AI. There was an independent committee that was struck, and which had people from all the different disciplines, and it explains there how people should be using AI in developing their research proposals and how the system is going to process them. Because it's not something that you want to ban, but you want to make sure you understand where you're using it, how you're using it, and what the added value is, and where the new idea is, and at the same time keeping the privacy, because there are always concerns about privacy when they use these large language models to do things. So, and I understand that this is just the first of the kind of advice you want to give to the community, because it's evolving very quickly, and we have to stay on top of that. And NSERC, of course, as the main funder of computer scientists and sort of AI scientists in Canada, we feel that we have the know-how in our community to make sure that across the whole ecosystem, the best practices are followed. It's a challenge, I'll tell you the truth, because things are changing very, very quickly. We've recently appointed a scholar in residence on AI, Mark Daly from Western University, who will be advising us very closely on what we should be doing for the community and also internally for our own operations.
I think that's a great approach, especially when you mentioned that it's not very effective to just ban AI outright, but it's more about adapting the system and guidelines and having them be evolving to change with the situation.
Exactly.
Switching gears a little bit, I want to ask more about collaborations between Canada and other places in the world. So this year, NSERC announced the first joint research funding opportunity launched under the formal collaboration between NSERC and ANR in France to support Canada's national quantum strategy. Can you tell us more about this joint funding opportunity and more broadly, how NSERC is advancing global and multi-sectoral partnerships in Canada?
Yes, so one of our commitments is to facilitate, encourage, and if possible, support international collaborations for Canadian scientists, because we understand that excellent research necessarily is driven and means and requires international collaboration. Now, in the particular case of France, a joint committee was constituted between Canada and France, called so-called Comité Mixte on science, technology, etc. And I'm a member of that. Other colleagues are there around the table, co-chaired by our chief science advisor, Dr. Mona Nimmer. And the committee, in consultation with the community, developed certain priorities for areas of collaboration. And quantum came up, as well as AI, and there are a number of other priorities that are being worked out and are in the pipeline. And then we got sort of, we as funding agencies, we seek to, we get guidance, strategic advice from these committees, from the chief science advisor, and then it's our role to execute and to develop programs and opportunities to make these collaborations actually happen. So we signed an MOU with the Agence Nationale de Recherche, the ANR in France. And under this collaborative agreement, we launched a competition in quantum science, quantum materials, quantum information. And I believe we funded 8 projects under that competition. Now we made a call for proposals in artificial intelligence. And for this, we have a Team Canada approach, a coalition of funders, including Social Sciences and Humanities Research Council, CIHR, which is a health council, as well as IVADO, which is a organization in Montreal focused on AI. And we're working with ANR, again, for projects, collaborative projects now in AI, and it will be AI with health, AI with science, a variety of topics where AI is used. So we feel that these sort of targeted opportunities, which are well founded by consultation and with the community is actually involved in developing priorities, that they are effective in launching collaborations between countries like Canada and France, like-minded countries where issues of research security are not, we don't have issues of that type, and where we know that the researchers already have some long-standing connections, students going here and there, so we're not starting from zero. It's kind of a mature relationship. And like that, we've had collaborations with the US, a lot of those, with the UK, extensive collaborations with UKRI, which is their funding agency, with Germany, et cetera, et cetera. So, and now doing a comprehensive international collaborations is one of the objectives of the Capstone project, doing it in a way that we make sure that it's as inclusive and as has the scale that is required to have an impact.
It's fantastic to hear about how NSERC is leading international collaborations on really global issues like quantum and now AI. And for my final question, what is your opinion on the value of the Canadian Science Policy Centre and its position in the community as a connection hub, knowledge mobilizer, and talent incubator in the science and innovation policy landscape?
Well, I'm a big fan of the CSPC. This is the conference for science policy in Canada. You have people from the scientific communities, people from government, people from the universities, from society at large gathering here. And it's really here that we have the exchange of ideas, the updates on policy, and the perspectives of all these sectors as to what science can do in Canada and what kind of policies exist and are being implemented, what policies are lacking, and also bring in foreign partners and hear from them as to what they are doing and compare notes in this regard. For example, at this meeting, there's a session on research security that I know NSERC is involved in helping to run that. And we're getting points of view from other funding agencies around the world. And because it's very important to have a best practices in topics like research security. So this is a fantastic forum for doing that. And then the results are well documented, well publicized, and it's a one-stop shop. So I really think it's fantastic, and I wish the organizers, first I want to congratulate the organizers for the great job they're doing, and I hope to continue doing it forever.
Thank you so much for being here and for taking the time to be interviewed. I've really enjoyed this conversation, and I hope the viewers have enjoyed it too. Thank you so much for watching.